Like for me, the strength and depth of Villa compared to Millwall in terms of the squad. The Villa substitutes Lansbury, Hourihane, Davis, Green, Bjarnason, Elphick, who returns after injury, and Sarkic. As for Millwall, McLaughlin, Williams, Amos, Elliott, Morrison, O'Brien and Scalak. So they are the options for both managers today. Dean Smith in particular with plenty of attacking options. You look at someone like Conor Hourihane, who can come off the bench and make an impact potentially.
See why Aston Villa are a side in the form that they are with their build-up play. It's awesome, really, the way that they knock the ball around, one-touch passing. Somebody like Glenn Whelan, who isn't an attack-minded midfielder, having the confidence to pick that ball up, carry it 20-30 yards, play it and then continue to drive on. It shows the fluidity that's there in Aston Villa going forward at the moment, and they've got another opportunity now from this corner. They're quite a big side, so they might fancy it if Grealish gets the ball right. Yeah,
Grealish's corner in towards the back post, and there is the header, and probably should have hit the target as well. Looked to me as though that was El Ghazi who came in at the back post, won the header, and when he did win the header, because there was a challenge on him as well from Romeo at the time, I felt he should have hit the target there, Jack.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's another good ball from Grealish in towards that back post, almost on the edge of the 6-yard box, really. And I think Romeo perhaps does just about enough just to offset El Ghazi, and he's unable to then steer it on target. But David Martin was in absolute no man's land. If that's on target, that goes in. It's 1-0. Simple as that.
Yeah. And in the end, I think he was quite relieved to see the ball drift past his upright. El Ghazi with a header wide of goal, the best and probably only chance that we've had in the game of the opening 9.5 minutes so far. Still Villa 0, Millwall 0. You can, if you like, gain commentary on this service of Portsmouth against Coventry as well in League One. A big game at the top end of the table, and it is Coventry who still lead by a goal to 0 in that match. Here it is goalless, as we say, and Tyrone Mings under some pressure here. It's a step over and then fires the ball at his full-back Taylor, who did ever so well to control it and play it back to him, and then Mings will blast it upfield towards Codger, beaten in the air by Pearce. There's a collision on halfway, referee says play on, and Villa have the ball as Grealish switches it to this near side to El Mohammadi. Adoma again getting paint on his boots as he comes so far out on this right-hand side. Doesn't get the ball again, though. Millwall have it back, and Leonard plays it forward towards Marshall. Good challenge from Grealish there to show some strength. Referee was right on the mark not to give a free kick. He felt it was a fair challenge. And now McGinn will try and switch the play to that far side. El Ghazi brings it down. Taylor on the overlap will get the ball as well. Gets the bar line. Taylor slips as he goes to cross it. And that is probably the reason why it's just dribbled into the arms of David Martin.
Yeah, again, the defenders just about did enough, I think. El Ghazi's pass just made it a bit difficult for Taylor to get across. In the end, he slips and the cross doesn't go where it needed to. But on both sides, they're doubling up as they go forward, whether that's El Ghazi and Taylor on the left or Adoma and El Mohammadi on the right. They stay very wide, try and double up, which just allows the space to open up in the centre.
Still early stages at a sun-kissed Villa Park this afternoon. Still Aston Villa 0, Millwall 0. The home side have dominated in terms of possession, and they've had the only real clear-cut opportunity of the game so far as well. Came from a corner kick taken by McGinn on the near side, swung it deep towards the back post. El Ghazi, the left winger, got there ahead of the fullback Romeo. Really should have hit the target with his header, with David Martin, the goalkeeper, in no man's land, but he sent his header wide of the upright. Grealish pulling the strings once again for Villa in the middle of the park, but at the moment it is still Villa 0, Millwall 0.
Yeah, and it's Millwall looking to come forward here down the left-hand side. James Meredith just pulls it in field here for Marshall, who will loft a ball out to Romeo, who's picked up a bit of space on the right-hand side here. Good crossing position, decides to pull it back instead for Marshall. His ball into Wallace, who takes it to the byline, pulls the cross in, and it's in the end hooked away by Tyrone Mings relatively comfortably. Out of play for a throwing out on the far right-hand side for Millwall. First real foray forward we've seen from them. I'm sure Neil Harris will be pretty happy that his side are looking to have a go, not just sit back, absorb pressure and not really do anything in the game. They're not settling for a point here. They do want to try and go forward and get something.
They do look like actually on the break they could cause some problems, and seen Millwall a couple of times this season, and that's often how they've played the stage where yes, they'll soak up a little bit of pressure, but they can hit you on the break if needs be. As here they come now forward. Long-range strike from Leonard is blocked. It's going to come out to this near side, and James Meredith, the former Bradford man, back in field it goes. Good turn there by Leonard in the middle of the park. Onto Tunnicliffe, who now chips it over to that right-hand side. Opportunity maybe to get a delivery in from Marshall in towards the near post. Hooked away well by Mings. Bounced right in front of him, and he was able to get a left boot to it. And now El Ghazi will header it on towards Grealish. So Villa, for the first time in this game really, being put under some significant pressure, and that was a terrible ball back towards Neil Taylor. I think that might well have been El Ghazi, and it's gone out of play for a corner.
Yeah, big unnecessary thing for them to do, really. No need to play that ball there. Plays it between Mings and Taylor, and this is a good opportunity. We know that Cooper and Pearce are good in the air for Millwall. They will look to come forward here, and Cooper especially is the one to watch as this ball is played in.
It is. Right-footed corner will be taken on the far side. It's an outswinger. Goes deep towards the back post. Up go the headers, and in the end it was Cooper that got there, but it was a pretty poor header in the end. He should have been going back across goal. I think maybe, just noticed before they took the corner there, Jack, the wind was blowing a little bit on the referee's flag, and maybe that just caught him out as the delivery came in.
Yeah, he seemed to sort of clip it as well, rather than striking through the ball and getting that sort of curl on it. He swiped under the ball, and it seemed to just carry, and then in the end got away from Cooper at the back post, and he was unable to make anything of it at all. But the wind is certainly swirling at Villa Park, and it's just one to watch. I think if you can pump a few balls into the penalty area, cause the goalkeepers a few problems, it could be a way in for both of these sides.
Yeah, definitely. It is lovely and sunny, and I say the pitch is immaculate for late April at Villa Park. It's often a very good playing surface, and no complaints on that front today for either of these two teams. Striding forward, here comes Pearce into the Villa half. Millwall skipper plays it short again, gives it on towards Tunnicliffe, who will play it forward up to feet. That's good play from Wallace. Left footed shot comes in, and that's a great save as well from Steer to push it out of harm's way. It opened up all of a sudden for the Millwall midfielder, and he got it onto his left foot, fired it towards goal, and Steer does well to push it behind.
Yeah, it's a really, really good strike as well. Good strong arm from Steer to be able to divert it round the post. Does really well just cutting in field, but he's completely unchallenged. No pressure on him at all. In the end gets the strike away, and Steer diving across to his right makes a decent save.
Yeah, I mean, you'd expect him probably to save it, but it was going with some pace, in fairness to him, and it was moving in the air. It's going to be a corner kick on this near side to Millwall, to be taken right-footed, and certainly the visitors working their way back into this game here now. And right-footed, eventually this set piece will come in. In fact, there's a bit of a delay here. The camera's focusing on the man taking the corner, but I think there's some issues inside the penalty area, maybe with a bit of pushing and pulling. And so the referee, Tim Robinson, has decided just to have a word with a couple of players before Millwall can take this set piece. I wonder if they're going to do some ground repairs at Villa coming up, because I don't remember it being red, sort of ash at the side of the pitch before. Deep corner in towards the back post, chance for Millwall, headed away on the stretch by Glenn Whelan. It's going to come back in right-footed towards the far post. Steer's done well under pressure to gather it under his bar, but for a moment there Villa are in 6s and 7s inside their own penalty area.
Yeah, it's another corner in towards the back post, and both sides have struggled with that really, and this time there was a man down. I think it was Al Mohammadi was on the floor as the ball came across. Good header back across goal. They just about managed to deal with it, and then Steer, good goalkeeping under pressure to save the cross that followed up.
Meanwhile, here come Villa on the break. Ball forward from El Ghazi towards Taylor. Came off Romeo last to the officials, and it will be a corner on the far side. This is how windy it is at the moment. The corner flag's bent over on that far side. I'm not entirely sure where this wind is coming from. It certainly wasn't forecast, but that's unbelievably strong. Yeah,
it does swirl at Villa Park. It does have a couple of gaps in it that then make it go round. So it could be a little breeze that's sort of just picking up. But again, set pieces are a really good opportunity to use the wind to their favour.
Yeah, Grealish though takes it short this time, gets it back to McGinn, and now Grealish to McGinn again on the edge of the penalty area, back on his favoured left foot, dinks a ball towards the back post, is overhit. I tell you what, Villa have definitely got the wins at the back, because that flew out of play. Yes, it was slightly overhit anyway, but it certainly caught the wind on its way through. And we'll probably see that even clearer now as David Martin prepares to take this goal kick. You have to say that if the playoffs were to stay as they were in terms of the table at the moment, Jack, with Leeds, West Brom, Villa and Middlesbrough, you'd fancy Villa to go up.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Leeds are limping, really. Whichever one of them and Sheffield United don't make it automatically, I think it's a huge knock to whichever team does miss out, because both teams arguably deserve it, but as do Norwich. So, whereas West Brom, they've been a bit hit and miss recently. Borough, Bristol City, Derby, whichever one of those three managed to take that last spot. Again, it's very open, but Villa at the moment, their form is impeccable. It really is. The way that they play, it's so fluid, and it will cause problems for any side in this division.
Yeah, be interesting to see how they react, though, if Millwall were to take the lead today. And they're on the front foot again here as Meredith back towards Leonard. And now here striding forward is the skipper Pierce, midway inside the Villa half. Plays it out to the right. Decent ball as well to find Marshall. Marshall will play it back in field towards Romeo, and then Ferguson had to do well to hold off two Villa players before knocking the ball forward. Sure, that's a foul. It is. It was straight through the back from Jednak on Gregory, and it's a free kick to Millwall in a really dangerous position here, about 25-27 yards from the Villa goal.
Yeah, it's a challenge that didn't need to be made, really. Just in his back, pushed him down to the ground, and Ferguson, I think, will want to come across and take this. Now, he will fancy this. It's a really good position for a left footer, slightly to the right of centre. It's maybe just under 30 yards out. Yeah, maybe 25 yards out.
Yeah.
So it's a really good opportunity, this. And with the way that the wind's swirling as well, if he can maybe knuckleball this, just put any sort of swerve on this ball, it could carry in any direction.
Well, we are 21 minutes into this game. Villa 0, Millwall 0 in this off-tube studio commentary, but a great chance here for the visitors to potentially take the lead. Just trying to work out who that is who's actually stood over it. It's not Shane Ferguson's the one on his left foot, and I'm just trying to see. I think it may well be Marshall, maybe the one on his right, and then eventually it's taken way over the top of the crossbar. That was a really poor effort of an opportunity to put some pressure on the Villa goal, and they just wasted it.
Yeah, really poor. Just leant back and lofts it right the way over into row Z. No real conviction in it either. It's not like he didn't want to hit it with power. He wanted to bend it and got it completely off where it should have been.
Yeah, and opportunity goes a begging for Millwall. They might not get too many today. They've got to take more of those when they come their way. Left-footed, the clearance by the goalkeeper Jed Steer, long downfield. Up go the heads, headed away well by Pierce under pressure from Codger. It's hoisted forward by Millwall again. Gregory will chase, as he will do all day, but it's gone out of play. Shepherded out by Tyrone Mings for a throw into Villa on that far side. Neil Taylor dummies to throw it backwards and decides to hold on to the ball and instead go down the line by the looks of things to try and find somebody in a more attacking position. That surely came off the arm, did it, of Codger? Referee says play on anyway. Dean Smith felt it was a foul on his striker, but referee's happy to let Millwall continue. Doesn't look massively comfortable, David Martin, when that ball goes back to him. He has a touch before he clears, and now Villa have a chance with Codger, who was well mopped up by Cooper. There was a gap in between the two centre-backs for a moment. Codger's touch probably wasn't the best, but Cooper was across quickly as Grealish now. Was he fouled? Well, he gets on with it very well indeed, and surely second time around, that is going to be a free kick.
Yeah, well played by Grealish there. I thought initially when he fell over, he sort of handled the ball
I thought he had,
and then let go of it to roll it back in front of him and continue carrying it forward.
Yeah.
He's very good at that, at drawing fouls. He always has been. Even as a kid, he was brilliant at trying to get away from his man, wait for the contact, go down, do what he needs to win his side free kicks. And this is a good position, this, if McGinn can get his cross right.
Yeah, left-footed, perfect from that far side. Just got to watch the breeze. It's just blowing around Villa Park. Grealish has moved to the side for potentially a short ball in, maybe to fool Millwall. McGinn, though, looks like he's adamant he's going to swing this in left-footed in towards the area. In it comes now towards the penalty spot. Up go the heads. It comes off Jedinak's back of his head, and it just loops up over the bar and onto the roof of the net. And, well, I thought I was expecting more from the delivery. It wasn't one of those where they could run onto it at a penalty spot. They were all already in there, and he was almost having to crane his neck to get onto it.
Yeah, really, he needs to be aiming sort of edge of the 6-yard box rather than the penalty spot, so that the player can make that run in and try and have the momentum in his movement to be able to then attack the ball. In the end, it was having to, as you say, crane his neck round it to get anything on it. And from that sort of position, it has to be something spectacular to beat the goalkeeper. From the penalty spot and backwards, from a header, it has to be perfect to beat a goalkeeper.
And that was nowhere near perfect, really, as it looped up over the crossbar and onto the roof of the net. Here's Grealish again for Villa inside his own half. Back it goes now towards Tyrone Mings, who will switch the play over to this near side, and El Mohammadi. And as Villa just maintain possession inside their own half, we've just gone past the halfway stage of this first period. Aston Villa 0, Millwall 0 in this off-tube studio commentary, and Jack can take you through to half-time.
Yeah, with Aston Villa looking to come forward. Neil Taylor, though, just caught on the ball, and now Ben Marshall will spin away from Taylor looking to try and win the ball back. Millwall now looking to come forward down the left. It's going to be Jake Cooper to carry it over halfway. The big centre half tried to keep going forward, but in the end, a double team of Adoma and Codger did just about enough to win the ball back. Adoma then dispossessed by Meredith, then just takes the legs of the former Bradford man. It's going to be a free kick to Millwall, about level with the edge of the centre circle. Just to the left of centre. Pearce, the man to come across and take this. And if they can get this right, we've spoken about the wind a few times, if they can get this right and potentially the wind affect the ball as it's pumped in towards the penalty area, this could cause all sorts of problems.
I think with the wind as it is, it's hopeful more than anything to hoist this in so much from where he is, and it's gone very wide of the penalty area.
Yeah, lofted out towards the right hand side. Jedinak able to win the first and second ball, brought down then by Tunnicliffe, who just tried to loft it out towards the right hand side, and Marshall, who drifted out there. It goes straight out of play for a throw-in instead to Aston Villa midway inside their own half, out on the left hand side. And again, we've seen that quite a few times so far in this game, where some of these passes have just been aimless, really.
Well, that was just hoisted out there, wasn't it? I mean, Ben Marshall could have been 8'2", he wouldn't have got anywhere near that. It was way over his head and out of play on the far side. I just think Millwall need to just think a little bit more carefully about what they do with possession. They're not going to get a huge amount of the ball in the Villa half today, and they have to be a bit better and a bit more clinical when they do get the ball.
Here's El Mohammadi coming forward down the right hand side. Little 1-2 with Albert Adoma. He continues forward, does El Mohammadi, before just checking back to Adoma. Now Whelan, Grealish in field for McGinn, 25 yards from goal. Just got the ball caught under his feet and goes down, does the Scot. Referee Tim Robinson unmoved as Marshall tries to get away, but the ball just sort of cannons off his back heel, really runs away from him, and Villa able to win the ball back. It's been a relatively quiet spell over the last 10-15 minutes from Aston Villa. They'll be looking to try and change that now with Neil Taylor stood on the halfway line on the left hand side. He's back now with Tyrone Mings, and I suppose for Villa, with the way that Millwall have brought themselves into the game in recent minutes, they'll want to sort of calm it down and look to try and bring themselves forward as much as they can, as El Ghazi now gets down the left hand side. He's looking for any sort of option here. In the end, the cross that comes in is deflected behind, so it's going to be a corner and another chance for Villa to get the big man forward.
It is indeed, yeah. It needs to be a better delivery than the last couple of set pieces that have come in here. But Villa, as you've pointed out, Jack, they'd seen Millwall get back into the game, and they have done that, I think, the last 5 minutes. Just calm things down a little bit, keep possession a bit better. Just need to get this man on the ball as much as possible. Jack Grealish is going to take this latest corner kick.
Yeah, it's going to be right-footed in, swinging from that far left-hand side as he lofts it in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Really good take, actually, from David Martin, coming through a crowd of bodies to collect it on the edge of his 6-yard box. It was perfect, really, for a goalkeeper to come and get it, and I think Grealish will be disappointed he perhaps hasn't tested the keeper more.
Yeah, no, I thought it was probably a little bit close. I could see what he's trying to do, but he's kind of got too much swing on the ball from that far side. Again, the wind maybe hasn't helped, but I thought Martin did ever so well to come and gather it as cleanly as he did. So 26 minutes played. I was potentially expecting, certainly after the start they made in the first 10 minutes, that Villa would have been well and truly on the front foot. But actually, to be honest with you, Millwall have quelled that early pressure from the home side. They've quelled the crowd as well, who look relatively quiet. And so far, so good for Neil Harris's men.
Yeah, been a very even game so far, as Mings lofts the ball away left-footed. McGinn able to win the first ball. Pearce headers the second straight up in the air, and he's not going to be able to get to this one as Codger knocks it away from Jake Cooper. Goes down. He'd knocked the ball over his head and was breaking through here. I don't think he was the last man there, was Cooper, but Codger was definitely looking to break away. It's a decision for Tim Robinson to make. Just does call Cooper over here. It looks like it's going to be a yellow card to the Millwall man, and probably the right decision.
Yeah, I mean, I thought actually Codger had gone past him, and I thought it was. I wondered whether he made a bit of a meal of it, but Cooper's not complained, to be fair. He's stuck a leg out and he's blocked him, and I think, yeah, it has to be a yellow card, really, if that is the case. And referee was on the money again. Tim Robinson in a really good position to make that decision. Villa now have a chance to break and take quickly.
Yeah, Whelan out towards the left-hand side, and El Ghazi. Taylor makes an overlapping run, but El Ghazi instead looks infield for Grealish, who's up against Tunnicliffe here on his right boot. Just checks it through the legs of, I think it might have been Ryan Leonard there, and now they will break with Ferguson. Out to the right-hand side, and Wallace. Good ball in field here, but the touch from Tunnicliffe was poor. He's done well to regather it. Wallace then lofts it in, right-footed, decent delivery, just too far ahead of Gregory, and then Meredith pulls out of trying to win the ball ahead of El Mohammadi, but a really quick break there from Millwall. Decent delivery in from the right. Gregory just unable to get on the end of it.
Yeah, to be fair to him, there's only Gregory in there, isn't there? Every time that delivery comes in. So they're going to have to try and get somebody a bit further forward. I think it's probably going to have to be Ben Marshall, and it was him, I think, who crossed the ball in the first place. So a lack of options getting inside the area might be something that Millwall might struggle with.
Here's Pearce again, lofting it forward, right-footed, aiming towards Gregory, headed away by Jedinak, only as far as Ferguson on this left-hand side. His ball back to Meredith, just sells the defender short. His attempted crossing is a poor one and dealt with by Aston Villa, and then a poor ball back to Cooper has been latched onto by Codger, one-on-one with the goalkeeper. Decent goalkeeping from Martin, just gets down, touches the ball onto Codger. I think it's run behind for a goal kick. And Jonathan Codger will be disappointed. David Martin will be delighted.
He will be. I thought the goalkeeper did ever so well. Having said that, you still expect the striker to go on and score from there. I did wonder at the start of this game how much Villa would miss Tammy Abraham. It's a bit harsh to Codger to say, well, maybe Abraham would have taken that chance, but I would have fancied him. As he went through, he just didn't seem to have the ball under control, Codger. It looked like it was just getting away from him. And then when he got towards goal, David Martin made it difficult because he rushed out, he made himself big, and in the end, he's ended up winning a goal kick for himself.
Yeah, he was sort of sprinting after the ball. It looked like he was always chasing it. And did just about enough with the goalkeeper to offset and prevent Codger from giving Villa the lead as we just creep up to the half-hour mark in this game. Independent off-tube studio commentary, Aston Villa 0, Millwall 0. Here's Glenn Whelan out to El Mohammadi, takes it over halfway, has Adoma bursting down the right-hand side. Instead, he's looking in field and finds McGinn now, 25 yards out. He finds Grealish, who will always look to try and shift onto his right, plays it out to the left, and the ball in from Taylor is tapped home by Jonathan Codger. They don't have their top scorer, Tammy Abraham, in the side. Maybe they don't need him. Jonathan Codger scores. Villa 1, Millwall 0.
The deadlock has been broken at Villa Park, and it comes courtesy of Jonathan Codger, who just 60 seconds earlier had missed a one-on-one opportunity with David Martin, the Millwall goalkeeper, when running through on goal. But second time of asking, he certainly made the chance pay, this time for Villa. Good build-up play between Grealish and Neil Taylor on the left-hand side. The former Swansea man put a cross in from left low, in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Codger got there ahead of his marker and has slid the ball into the back of the net. On the face of play, Millwall have worked their way back into it, but Villa probably have had the better of it so far and just about deserve their lead. It's Villa 1, Millwall 0.
Yeah, good finish from Codger as well. At the near post, just getting in ahead of Alex Pearce. As we just see Lee Gregory there, turning back towards his team, trying to G them up, swinging his arms to try and get a reaction out of his side. Last thing that Millwall will want is to go into their shell after conceding. They'll want to perhaps continue doing what they've been doing for the opening half an hour, trying to push Aston Villa, just trying to hold them at arm's length and then go and get them on the break. And the last thing that they need at this stage of the season is for potentially the floodgates to open.
Yeah, I mean, I think going back to that game that you highlighted before against Sheffield United the other week, Jack, I think they went behind in that game and they just hung on in there because Sheffield United had a few other chances to go further in front, and that's what Neil Harris will be saying to him. It's like, don't fall any further behind, keep yourself in this match and you might yet get something out of it.
Yeah, here's Cooper marauding forward once again, the centre half, into Meredith, who just knocks the ball down the line past Adoma, then goes down after the challenge came in from Albert Adoma. It's going to be a free kick here. Meredith smart there, knew the contact was coming, just knocked the ball away from his man, takes the challenge, and will now have a free kick opportunity in a decent position as well. It's out on the left-hand touchline, about 5 yards behind where the 18-yard box starts. Marshall is going to come across and take this right-footed, so it will be in swinging, and a good opportunity if he can get the delivery right. They've got Cooper and Pearce up inside the penalty area. Gregory also in there as well. Good opportunity here for Marshall. He'll step up to this right-footed, left arm aloft, lofts it in towards the back post. Decent delivery, just about headed away.
Do you know that was Codger, Jack, who got the last touch? He's helped out in his own penalty area there.
Marshall then with the second ball, and it's knocked up in the air as Gregory then battles with Steer. who does really well at the second time of asking to sort of gather the ball whilst almost hugging Lee Gregory to get past him to gather the ball. Did what he needed to as Villa now look to try and come straight back at Millwall with Grealish. His delivery is headed away at the near post, and now Millwall will come away, and what that goal seems to have done is liven both sides up, both teams now end to end.
Oh, it needs Millwall really to come out, isn't it? As I say, they want to stay in the game, but they also want to cause Villa some problems. The only way they can do that is give them something to think about defensively, because if they just sit back and try and keep possession, Villa will swarm them. And at the moment, Millwall have been a really good response. I was actually about to shout goal with that free kick that swung in, because it looked like somebody had got a flick on it. But I tell you what, Codger's done really well. He needed to get his head on it, and he did. Almost knocked him over in the process, but here come Millwall again.
Yeah, with Jed Wallace out on the right-hand side. His attempted delivery blocked by Taylor, and then Gregory looking to regain his feet on the edge of the area. Slips over there as the ball was potentially falling to his feet. Villa able to clear it away and now come forward with McGinn. Just checking onto his left foot and finding Grealish just to the left of centre, midway inside the Millwall half. Now El Ghazi out on that left-hand touchline, level with the edge of the 6-yard box, heading infield towards the penalty area, headed away by Pearce at the near post. It falls to El Mohammadi. Now Whelan, good 35 yards out, finds Grealish once again. Little check in field from him, goes for goal right footed, deflected, and then the attempted clearance from Cooper bounced off Codger, and thankfully David Martin on his toes, able to get out quickly and able to smother the ball.
That would have been a horrendous mistake from Jake Cooper. Do you know what? Alex Pearce let him know about it straight away when Martin had gathered the ball, because he just completely lost concentration. He went to clear it, fly hacked at it, got it completely wrong, fell to Codger. It's fortunate, Cooper, that he actually got enough pace on it that Codger found it hard to control the ball as it came flying into him, and it got away from him, and that enabled Martin to pick up the piece. And the last thing that Millwall need now is to make an error at the back. It almost led to the goal before for Codger running through on goal, and they don't need to concede another before half time now.
Yeah, you don't want to be playing yourself into trouble as a side down and around the bottom few at this stage of the season. 35 minutes on the clock then. Aston Villa 1, Millwall 0. Here's Alex Pearce now for Millwall, the Lions captain. Ball played forward, aiming towards Lee Gregory, who's been completely isolated up front. We've seen very little of him. Granted, that's sort of the way that Millwall play, but I'm sure they'll be disappointed with the lack of service that the strikers had so far.
I mean, he's just basically been chasing shadows, hasn't he, for the first 35 minutes. Just been looking at Millwall's away record, by the way, and since the turn of the year, they've won 3 on the road. They won on New Year's Day at Ipswich, which, you know, a lot of teams have done this season, bearing in mind Ipswich's struggles. They won away at Derby and away at Birmingham without conceding. It does make you think, if they're going to win a game, maybe they have to nick it by the odd goal or so. But of course, they did get that draw at Sheffield United, and the previous away game for that was 3-2 at Leeds. So, you know, 3 tough away games in a row there to have Leeds, Sheffield United, and Aston Villa away from home. And certainly Millwall before that, not easy. Birmingham before that as well, not easy.
Yeah, they've not failed to score as well since early February. So they will back themselves to try and get themselves at least something out of this game. Try and find the back of the net. They've given away a free kick though here, about 30 yards out to the left of centre. Jack Grealish, the man to have been brought down there as he was bursting forward. He's back on his feet now. There's about 7 Aston Villa players surrounding this free kick. It looks like El Ghazi is the man putting the ball down, and the man that will fancy a shot from here. It perhaps favours a right footer. El Ghazi, the way he's shaping up to it, looks like he is going to go for goal here. Maybe just between 25 and 30 yards out.
And with a win behind as well, we said earlier, didn't we, for Villa, I think it's a good opportunity to put your foot through it and just hope for the best.
Yeah, he's going to step up to this right-footed then, as the referee just makes sure that everything is in order here. Whistle to his mouth. El Ghazi, deep breath in, steps up to this right-footed, decent strike. Goalkeeper's side and straight at David Martin, who didn't move across. A lot of goalkeepers like to take that step across to his right. Martin held his ground and held the ball. Yeah,
great decision in the end as well. He did what we suggested, El Ghazi, was just basically to put his laces through it. Struck it really well, kept it down, but it was straight at the goalkeeper. Just looking at Villa's recent home form after they had that stuttering patch earlier in the year, they've won 4 on the bounce at Villa Park, and during that time they've only conceded 2, and they've scored 11 in that last 4 games. That includes wins over Derby, Middlesbrough, Blackburn and Bristol City. So these are, to all intents and purposes, top half teams as well. So that's the task that faces Millwall in the remainder of this first half and the second period.
Here's Meredith into Ferguson, checking outside to the left. In the end, has to go back infield to Cooper, who finds the feet of Wallace. He's then caught late by Codger. And free kick has been given. Just a little foot out, really, from the goal scorer. Just catching, I think it might have been Ben Marshall, actually, who was just looking to try and get away. He's stepping up to take this free kick, 40 yards out, almost centre of the Villa half, lofts it towards the back post, but I think it might have been Jake Cooper arriving at the back post, is unable to get a proper connection on it. The ball runs out of play for a goal kick. And I suppose for Aston Villa, they knew that this would be a tough game, they knew that Millwall would dig in, but at the moment it's probably doing what Dean Smith will have wanted them to do.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you get your nose in front, and then you've then got that cushion just to be able to try and probe a little bit more without necessarily having to pour as many numbers forward. I think what they've got to do is make sure that they stay firm at the back. I just think that the opportunity is there for Millwall. I think they've had a bit of joy down the right-hand side, but actually I think it's down the left where they could get El Mohammadi. I think Taylor's pretty quick, but El Mohammadi and Jedinak are both on that right-hand side, and that is surely somewhere that Neil Harris has got to target if Millwall are going to get back in this game.
Yeah, we've seen very little of Shane Ferguson, especially James Meredith. We've mentioned a couple of times looking to come forward, but Ferguson especially has found himself right on the periphery as he was chasing down El Mohammadi there, didn't get anywhere near him and sort of jumped up in the air in frustration, perhaps highlighting the limited amount of time he's had on the ball. As now Romeo did well there to win the ball and then was challenged hard by El Ghazi.
I thought that was a free kick, Jack. I don't think he got the ball there. I thought Marshall had beaten him for pace. In fairness, not many complaints from Millwall, so maybe the referee got it right on that front. But the point we were sort of saying, down the Villa right and the Millwall left, Villa actually haven't seen much of the ball. I don't remember Adoma touching it more than 2 or 3 times.
No, I completely agree with you. Here's Mings, just to the left of centre, taking it over halfway, rolling it into El Ghazi, who's got Taylor on the overlap. Here is the former Swansea man, tries to pull it back for Codger. The outstretched leg of Alex Pearce doing just about enough to prevent it. So throwing to Aston Villa on the far left-hand side. Taylor to take it level with the edge of the 6-yard box. Goes backwards to Grealish, who feigned to do a 1-2 with El Ghazi, who's on the ball now, aiming towards the penalty area himself. Just dropped into it for a second, but has to go backwards to El Mohammadi. Now Whelan, that's a decent ball through. McGinn looking to spin his man, but Jake Cooper did well just to stand his ground, stuck with McGinn and made sure that he put his foot in the way as the shot came in.
Yeah, did really well, the big centre-back, because he's been found wanting a couple of times already this afternoon, but McGinn, who after turning so well, Cooper stayed tight to him, knocked it behind for another Villa corner. This must be at least their 4th or 5th corner, I'd have said, of this first half.
Yeah, McGinn will come across and take this left-footed in swinging from this near side. Lofted in towards the back post. Codger it was, attempting a sort of scissor kick, really. It was just nudged away from him by Alex Pearce. So throw into Villa. Now out on the left-hand side. Taylor, the man to take it. 3.5 minutes still to go in this first half. Aston Villa 1, Millwall 0. Taylor to take. Just looking for any sort of option around him. Glenn Whelan in the end, the only man showing feet. He will then go right the way backwards to Tyrone Mings, and Villa will start again.
It's still Villa 1, Millwall 0 as we come towards the end of the first half, but the home team a bit more in control now, having got that opening goal. They've had a couple of other half opportunities. We've seen El Ghazi strike a free kick from 25 yards, hit it really fiercely, but it was straight at David Martin. And but for some good defending from Jake Cooper a moment or so ago, McGinn may well have set up an opportunity inside the area. Great block from the centre-back, but Villa enjoying the lion's share of possession at the moment, and Millwall, the Lions themselves, of course, just trying to hold on here to at least just be the 1 goal behind at the break. 1-0 to Villa.
Decent bit of build-up play there from Aston Villa before Glenn Whelan just unable to find his man. Tried a driven pass out towards the left-hand side. Throwing for Millwall. Marlon Romeo, the man that will come across and take this. Just aiming down the line for Wallace. Taylor able to get to the first one. Leonard then goes infield for Cooper. Out to Meredith. Heavy first touch from him, and then he drills the ball. It's a really good ball actually down the left-hand side into Ferguson now. Decent delivery in towards Gregory, unable to get there. It falls to Marshall here, who drills a shot back across. He'll try once again on his left foot this time. Both of them blocked by Mings. And then in the end, Adoma, the man to hook the ball away. But Aston Villa very nearly playing themselves into trouble there.
And what did we just highlight? Millwall away down the left-hand side for the first time in this game, got themselves in a really good position. Shane Ferguson's ball in I thought was excellent. Again, another thing that we've highlighted, Jack, just the one man in the area, Gregory, as it went across goal. If they can just... And it's difficult because they have to have a fine balance of being maybe hit on the break by Villa, but if they can just get a little bit more support to Gregory, you feel there's still a goal in this for Millwall.
Yeah, they do have options on the bench from a striking perspective, shall we say. Steve Morrison and Tom Elliott both on the substitutes bench. Here's Grealish coming forward though for Aston Villa, cutting in field on his right foot and looking to check back up against Leonard. Finds El Mohammadi. Now Adoma out towards this right hand side. A little give and go with McGinn. He'll take over once again before finding El Mohammadi, who's up against Ferguson. And those two right-hand sided players, Al Mohammadi and Adoma, exchanging passes before the centre midfielders take over. McGinn into Whelan, now Taylor out on the left-hand side. He finds El Ghazi. Initially shapes to cut in right, couple of step overs, then lofts the ball in, headed up in the air by Jake Cooper. Then further away by Meredith, as Wallace is able to come in and draw a foul. And Millwall will now just look to try and build something from the back. Jake Cooper though with just a long ball forward aiming for Gregory. Jedinak able to get there first, and then Mings just nodding the ball down for Whelan. Very nearly caught there by Wallace, who seems to have drifted into this attacking midfield position with Marshall out on the right. There's Grealish into Whelan. Hefty touch from him as we just head into time added on at the end of this first half then. Aston Villa 1, Millwall 0. Glenn Whelan goes across to Tyrone Mings. His pass into El Ghazi just forces the winger to come backwards. Grealish then looking to shift the ball through to McGinn, who'd tried to get himself into a positive position as Grealish slides in. The follow through looked a little bit hefty, but Villa will look to come forward regardless with El Mohammadi into Adoma, heading towards the edge of the penalty area. He goes back outside to El Mohammadi. Decent delivery in towards the back post, over the top of everybody, and then Marshall able to try and bring it away as he looks to outpace Neil Taylor, who then fouls Lee Gregory. It's going to be a free kick to Millwall, but good build-up play from Villa, just unable to find that final ball.
Yeah, still Jack Grealish the most impressive player in the middle of the park at the moment. He gave the first pass, tried to thread it through towards Codger, got intercepted, and within a second he was back on the ball and dispossessing Millwall in the middle of the park. And there is the half-time whistle, just a minute of added on time played, and just the one goal in that first half. It came on the half-hour mark, courtesy of Jonathan Codger at the break. Villa in position to make it 10 wins out of 10. They lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Villa Park, Aston Villa 1, Millwall 0. The goal coming on the half-hour mark. Jack Grealish, who's been at the heart of most good things for Villa, playing the ball out to the left-hand side where the overlapping Neil Taylor got to the byline. He played a low cross in towards the edge of the 6-yard box, and it was slid into the back of the net by Jonathan Codger. Villa have dominated possession and have had the better of the chances as well. El Ghazi should have hit the target with a header. He's also seen a free kick saved by Martin. Millwall still look dangerous on the break, but Villa lead a goal to nil at the break.
Thanks. keep the nana real sweet when you're eating. Yes, you be the mouse and yes, I be respecting whatever that you tell me, cause it's game you be spitting. Oh, beat in my drum like down diddy day. I like the dirty rhythm you play. I wanna hear you calling my name like hey mama, mama, hey mama, mama. Banging the drum like down diddy day. I know you want it in the worst way. I wanna hear you calling my name like hey mama, mama, hey mama. Hey mama, mama, hey mama.
There's some exciting football.
I'll just stop that there because we are back underway then for this second half. This independent off-tube studio commentary. Aston Villa 1, Millwall 0. A entertaining first half where both sides had a real go, but it's Aston Villa who currently have the upper hand, and it's Villa who are coming forward straight away here with McGinn, which lofts the ball out towards this left-hand side, and Neil Taylor. Villa looking to start the second half better with Grealish cutting in field, finds El Ghazi, whose strike is comfortably saved in the end by David Martin. Good move there from Aston Villa, picking up where they left off in the first half. It's Jack Deaton and Warren Ashurst taking you through this game, and Warren, I suppose for Villa it may well be more of the same. For Millwall, I suppose it's get Gregory involved.
Yeah, I think that's the main key here. And what we said in the first half, Jack, if anybody wasn't with us in that first half, is that they could get so much more joy down that left-hand side. They've created one great opportunity from one run only in that left-hand side in the first half. Shane Ferguson's got to get more involved with that wonderful left foot that he has. As you say, if he can get some delivery to Gregory, we may well see Millwall get back into this game, but I don't think they'll change their tactics too much. They'll want to stay in the game as much as possible, and maybe then when we see if it's still 1-0 last 20 minutes or so, then really having a good go.
Here's El Mohammadi bringing it forward down the right hand side for Aston Villa. Lofts a long ball forward to McGinn, whose header towards Adoma is poor. Ferguson will shift it in field now to Wallace, and has to go backwards to Alex Pearce. Under pressure, the Millwall captain very nearly giving the ball away. And Cooper will find Meredith, who just returns it back to the centre half. He pumps a long ball forward, left footed, as Ferguson is beaten to the ball by Jedinak. Ferguson will just leave this ball for Meredith to come across and take it. No real options in support at all for James Meredith here, as Ben Marshall does eventually go across from the right hand side just to get himself involved, really. Here's Pearce, shifts it out to the right now, and Marlon Romeo's first touch of this second half. In field is Marshall once again, who's busy, always looking to try and get himself on the ball, but finding no real avenues to go down at the moment. No,
it's a bit of a blank canvas for Millwall in terms of going forward. That's exactly what they need, just to get a cheap free kick. John McGinn's gone straight through the back of Jed Wallace, and it'll be a free kick about 15 yards inside the Villa half. But as frustrating as it is, just keeping possession for Millwall will enable them to get a bit of a breather at times. It'll also maybe lure Villa out. In terms of Dean Smith's side, I have to say Adoma has got to get himself more involved in this game. Granted, he hasn't had a great deal of service, but he has to get more involved.
Yeah, Pearce will take this free kick then. almost right in front of the Aston Villa dugout. Dean Smith stood just behind Pearce as he lofts it towards the far side of the penalty area. In the end, it's El Ghazi who gets himself back and gets the final touch before Neil Taylor just hooks the ball away. Romeo then just lofts it straight out of play for a throw-in. Pretty unnecessary really for him to do that, but I suppose he had a little bit of pressure on him. Neil Taylor will now take this throw-in on the near left-hand side, just inside Millwall's half. Independent off-tube studio commentary. Aston Villa 1, Millwall 0. Here's Taylor to take it. Jonathan Codger, the man showing for it, and the goalscorer will spin under pressure, but he's unable to find the pass back to Taylor. Straight out of play, and Millwall will be the team to come away. And I suppose it's the second half has started very similar to the way the first half did. That it's a bit bitty. There's no fluidity there. Both sides are having a go, but just not quite clicking yet.
No, exactly. And I suppose you willing to give them 10 or 15 minutes to see what happens. I think both managers will be doing the same before they think about substitutions in this game. I don't know about you, look at this Villa side and the way they played in the first half, and I can't believe that they're not challenging for automatic promotion. I know they've had their issues. Say Steve Bruce, of course, got sacked earlier in the season. Took Dean Smith a bit of time to get used to the squad, but the players and the calibre that they have probably should be higher up in the table.
Yeah, long ball forward, aiming towards Wallace. Now Gregory. Rare touch for him, and you can see that he's not had much of the ball. His attempted pass back out wide was given away straight away. Now Tyrone Mings has to just hook the ball away under a little bit of pressure. El Ghazi rises. I think he was expecting Neil Taylor to be making an overlapping run there. His header going straight out of play. So Romeo will take this throw in on this near right hand side, just inside the Aston Villa half. Exchanges passes with Marshall. Now Leonard it is who hooks it forward, aiming towards Gregory, who's trying to use his strength up against Tyrone Mings, but Mings getting himself in front of it and happy to get a final touch in towards Steer. And it looks like a real battle at the moment for Millwall to create anything.
It does. But as I said a few times now, if they can just keep it at 1-0, you've got to think they're going to create one or two opportunities, potentially from set pieces in this second half, and it just keeps them in the game. As it stands at the moment, another goal for Villa, and you'd have to say it's probably game over for Millwall. I'm not sure they've got 2 goals in them.
Here's Wallace breaking forward now, looking to try and get away. Gets himself a bit of space, goes for goal right-footed. A long way over the crossbar from the midfielder. Always looking to try and shift it onto his right foot, always looking to try and get a shot off, and in the end, it wasn't really on.
No, but I have to say, he's the only one, Jack, for me, Jed Wallace, who's actually running with the ball and causing Villa to actually have to come out from the back and make a challenge on players, and that's exactly what Millwall need at the minute. They need somebody to instill a bit of pace in it when they get the ball, and I felt a bit sorry for him there because he almost felt like he had to have a snapshot once he got past Jedinak.
Yeah, Steer's long clearance forward over the top of Anwar El Ghazi. Out of play for a throw in to Millwall once again. Romeo to take it. It's a big day in the Championship today. The games that I suppose directly affect Millwall, one at Rotherham, where Rotherham and Birmingham go head to head.
Yep.
You've got, who else is down there?
Wigan
and Preston. So
yeah,
a couple of big games down at the bottom, and I suppose Millwall, to be fair to them, have dug in, but Villa and Millwall look a class apart at the moment.
They do, I have to say that. I mean, the difference is massive when you look at the points. I mean, Millwall were 43, Villa was 75 as things stand, if it was a win for Villa today, of course, but that shows you the gulf between the two teams. And also the gulf in confidence at the moment. You go into a game, 9 wins on the spin, you're going to be absolutely full of confidence. Millwall's form has been sketchy of late, have drawn the last 3, in fact, now, Millwall. I'll tell you what, they'd snap your hand off for another draw now, I'd suggest.
Yeah, they certainly would, but it's Aston Villa that are having plenty of the ball at the moment. In this first half, Tyrone Mings bringing it forward now, just carrying it over halfway. Now out to Neil Taylor, his ball in is deflected. Codger looking to get there. David Martin looking to punch the ball out. Almost punches Alex Pearce's head off there as he swung through it. And then Gregory does well to win his side a free kick just inside the centre circle, but a nervy moment there between Martin and his defender.
Yeah, it was indeed, and the communication's not been great at times between keepers and centre-halves so far today for Millwall. Just looking at the remaining fixtures, by the way, for Millwall, you've got to say that the home form might be what keeps them up in the end. They've got 2 more home games to come after this and 1 away game, and if it comes down to it, an away game at Wigan on the final day could be huge for both teams. But Millwall have got Stoke at home next after this, and then following that they're at home to Bristol City. Stoke of course got nothing really to play for. Bristol City up there challenging for the playoffs, so they don't really want it to go down to the last 2 games because they look like difficult games on paper.
Yeah, I suppose when you look at it, it's not games against Aston Villa and Bristol City that'll keep you up. It's those games against the likes of Wigan, Stoke, who've got nothing to play for, as you say. So a big few weeks for Millwall as they look to come forward now with Romeo in a shooting position, but the fullback, who never seemed to get the ball properly out of his feet, looked to try and scoop it from behind him almost towards goal. In the end it peters out wide, but it's Millwall's best chance, in inverted commas, that we've seen for quite a while. Yeah,
at least they're getting numbers forward now, and that's a right back getting into attacking position, so there is that positivity from Millwall in terms of numbers getting forward, but it's going to have to be a lot better to challenge Villa at the back in terms of creating opportunities. I have to say, they've not really been tested, the 2 centre-halves so far. Jedinak, of course, is a makeshift centre-back. Tyrone Mings hasn't looked particularly comfortable at times there this season, but so far they've had very little to do in terms of last-ditch defending.
Here's Glenn Whelan in a advanced position for Aston Villa. Finds Adoma out on the right-hand side into Jonathan Codger on the edge of the penalty area. He has to just turn backwards. Now he'll look to try and commit his defender. A couple of step overs, goes into the penalty area. Well, it's Codger one-on-one. And in the end he seemed to go with the outside of his right foot rather than with his left foot, and drags it well wide of the mark at the end.
Really badly wide, and that would have been one of the championship goals of the season if he'd got that, Jack. I think he beat 3 or 4 Millwall players in the way in. Once he was in the area, they didn't want to touch him. He got into a position where it's a slight angle, yes, but as you say, if he hits it with his left foot, he's got far more chance. He tries to wrap the outside of his right boot round. He gets it horribly wrong, and it almost went out for a throw-in in the end. It was that wide. Millwall breathe a huge sigh of relief.
Yeah, and he will loft it long, will the Millwall goalkeeper David Martin. Tyrone Mings able to hook it away right-footed. And then Codger causing problems once again. This time giving away a foul. Millwall will just look to take short, you'd think. In the end, Tunnicliffe, the man who was stood over it, deciding to leave it for Jake Cooper to come through. He rolls it in field for Marshall. Now Tunnicliffe once again looking to scoop the ball out to the right hand side. It bounces straight over the head of Romeo and out of play for a throw into Aston Villa.
Early stages of the second half at Villa Park, and Villa could have increased their lead. They already lead 1-0, but Jonathan Codger, who's got the only goal of the game, really should have made it 2. It'd have been a cracking goal as well. Brilliant quick feet from Codger in the Millwall penalty area to get away from 3 defenders. Got himself to a great position about 7 yards from goal, and then inexplicably tried a shot with the outside of his right foot, and it went way wide of David Martin's goal. Millwall are starting to get a few more numbers forward, but still don't look that much of a threat once they get inside the final third. It looks a case of them just trying to keep it at 1-0 until late on, where they can maybe throw a few more players forward. It is still then Aston Villa 1, Millwall 0.
For Villa then, a win today would more or less secure them that playoff spot. Their last 2 matches, I suppose, they'd look to be the perennial party poopers of both Leeds and Norwich, who are their next 2 games coming up. So it is going to get tougher for them going into the playoffs. They are on the ball at the moment with Tyrone Mings to the feet of Mile Jedinak. And now El Mohammadi just on the right hand side into John McGinn, back to El Mohammadi again. Albert Adoma will take over on the right. Here's McGinn looking to spin away from James Meredith, who got full hold of him, but McGinn able to shrug it off and play the ball. Jedinak then plays a wonderful 50-yard ball across from right to left, but El Ghazi unable to bring it down, just bounced just before him and skipped away from under his feet. And Millwall will have to start again, and we're still waiting for any sort of fluidity to come in the second half, I suppose.
Yeah, it's been very patchy, as you said, Jack, in the first 5 minutes or so. It's just not really settled down in this second period, and I think Millwall probably be the happier of the two teams because of that. Because if Villa get into their stride and pass and move, and they're certainly going to cause them all sorts of problems. Funny how it works out, as you say there. Leeds and Norwich in the last two games, Villa. It's probably just as well that they have done well in the last 9 or 10 matches to get them in this strong position.
Yeah, there's a good ball through, is cut out by McGinn. Then a foul from El Mohammadi as Ferguson looked to cut infield from the left. He knew the challenge was coming, so just dinked it away. And El Mohammadi's outstretched leg, in the end, bringing down the midfielder. It might have been Leonard, actually, who was trying to break through. As they just go back to get the ball for this free kick. Marshall is over. It's going to be right-footed here. It's in a good position midway inside the Aston Villa half, out towards the left-hand side. Favours a right-footed in-swinging ball. Left arm up in the air. Marshall lofts it forward, and it just seemed to carry. We spoke about the wind in the first half, but it's well over hit and goes straight out of play for a goal kick.
You'd have thought, though, Jack, having seen that wind in the first half, like we pointed out, that he would take a bit off the ball. I mean, it's not even looked like bouncing anywhere in play. It's gone about 10 feet over everybody inside the area and straight behind for a goal kick. Referee's just having a word here with the Villa goalkeeper, Jed Steer. I'm not entirely sure what that's all about. I don't think he was time wasting, to be honest. Just looking at the Villa squad as well, by the way. But you shouldn't forget that there's no James Chester at the moment. Would be a first choice centre-half, you'd think. Tommy Elphick's only just come back from injury. He's on the bench today. Tammy Abraham, of course, is missing through injury. You look at the other options that we said that we've got on the bench a little bit earlier on, the likes of Conor Hourihane and Keenan Davis and Bjarnson as well. You just think, this is a strong squad, and this seems like a squad. Yes, all right, some of the players are on loan, but if they were to keep the majority of them together and add 4 or 5 other players, then it would give them a real chance in the Premier League of staying up.
Yeah, you throw in as well the fact that their two first choice goalkeepers are both out as well. Here's El Ghazi down the left, just looking to try and get away from his man, but Millwall defender standing up well and forcing him backwards. Here's Grealish right in the middle of the Millwall half, into El Mohammadi, and then a nice little touch from a man out on that right hand side, gets the ball in, and it's in the end gathered by the goalkeeper. I've got a feeling there might have been a substitution that we've not seen. It looked like Andre Green was down the right hand side.
We'll confirm that for you in a moment or so's time. We didn't actually see the camera pan over when the substitution was made. We'll try and confirm if that has been the case as Millwall come forward. Yeah,
David Marshall looking to loft it forward, and Jet Steer went across the edge of his penalty area, just stood his ground and made it difficult. Just did just about enough to offset the attacking Lee Gregory, who was hanging around. And the ball will be played across out to this right hand side. Here's El Mohammadi under pressure, does well to shepherd the ball out of play and out for a throw in.
No change has been made as yet. I think they are milling around over on that far side, the substitutions in terms of potential changes, as Codger now is inside the Millwall penalty area.
Yeah, he's just going to look to check away here. McGinn is on the edge of the penalty area, pulled back instead for El Mohammadi. Now Hourihane on the ball in the centre of midfield, so a couple of changes seem to have taken place. Green and Hourihane are definitely on.
Alma Adoma has gone off, not surprisingly, to replace by Green. He's had a lack of impacts on this game so far.
Here's Codger into Green, edge of the area, checks it across for Grealish, edge of the penalty area. He finds El Ghazi, whose strike is well charged down and blocked. Glenn Whelan, the other man who came off. So Hourihane and Green, the two that have come on, and they're attacking changes, aren't they?
It was definitely so. I mean, I thought Glenn Whelan had done pretty well, I have to say, in the first half, and I'm a bit surprised that he's the man who's gone off. But obviously, Dean Smith feels that the game is there to be killed off, and as you say, he's gone a bit more attacking.
Jack Grealish will come across and take this corner then from this near side. Both hands in the air, right-footed, in swinging towards the edge of the 6-yard box, headed away and then fully cleared away in the end by Ben Marshall. A run out of play for a Aston Villa throw-in for El Mohammadi to take. In field for Green. Just trips over Ferguson there. And then El Mohammadi unable to keep the ball in play. So Green will just knock the ball back for Millwall to go and take it. 63 minutes played, then Aston Villa 1, Millwall 0. promotion chaser against a side struggling to stay in the division. Seen another change, I think, happening now. It looked as though James Meredith was the man wandering across. Interesting to see who is going to replace him. But Millwall, perhaps seeing that Aston Villa have made changes, looking to roll the dice themselves.
I think they may need a new fresh pair of legs on shortly, just to try and change things around a little bit. It does look to me as though Meredith has gone off, doesn't it? We'll confirm who's come on for him in a moment or so's time. I just wonder whether I saw Steve Morrison there for a moment down the left-hand side, but as I say, we'll confirm that change for you in a minute.
Here's Ferguson lofting the ball forward, aiming towards Gregory. It's over the top of him, and Tyrone Mings will bring it away and carries it 30, 40, now 50 yards up to halfway, continuing to go forward. He finds Neil Taylor, cutting in field from that left-hand side into Grealish. Now Hurahan, out to the right-hand side, and El Mohammadi into Green, who will look to try and commit his defender. In the end, has to go backwards though. Millwall doing a good job of shepherding Aston Villa back, making it difficult for the host to get through, and in the end pushing them backwards as the attempted pass from Jedinak very nearly charged down by Gregory. But at the moment, Millwall are doing a job on Aston Villa.
Yeah, they are indeed. They're frustrating the home side. Again, it's just going to be something that comes off at the other end to get them back on level terms. But the first things first is to keep Villa at bay, and then, as we said, those chances might come.
Here's El Ghazi with a cross in towards the near post, headed away by Pearce. Taylor brings it down now on the edge of the penalty area. He's got El Ghazi on his outside. He just knocks it in field for Grealish, and a shrug off the attentions of Leonard. Grealish now trying to pull it across, decent ball into Green, who smashes the ball back across goal into the side netting. Decent effort, just trying to catch David Martin out at his near post. In the end, perhaps the goalkeeper had it covered, but a good strike nonetheless.
Yeah, no, I think he did have it covered, but ordinarily I'd say smash that across the face of goal, but actually I don't think there were too many players waiting for the cross to come in either, so I think he probably had a lack of options in terms of what to do once he got inside the penalty area. Villa, you can see though, have noticeably stepped up the pace in the last 5 minutes or so since those substitutions have been made, and Millwall I think are going to probably make their own change pretty shortly.
Yes, Gregory looks to try and come forward. He's being charged down here is Tyrone Mings, and the ball just cannoning off the Millwall man who was putting the pressure on. I think it was Wallace there, trying to cause problems. I think it's gone out for a throw-in down by the corner flag. And just a chance once again for Villa to start again. It was O'Brien who came on, Aidan O'Brien for James Meredith. So I'd assume then that Ferguson may well drop to left back.
Yeah, it looks that way. Ferguson's gone in at left back, and O'Brien has kind of gone left-hand side of midfield, I think, to where Ferguson was beforehand.
Yeah, to go and just help out, perhaps directly combat the introduction of Andre Green. As now McGinn plays it into the substitute Green, who's up against Ferguson. Just a little touch out towards the byline. The attempted cross blocked, spooned up in the air and comfortably taken by David Martin, who will then drive this ball right-footed, bouncing ball just in front of Jedinak. Up goes O'Brien looking to win it, attempted to climb all over Jedinak on his way up, but the referee in the end giving a foul against the Millwall substitute. Here's Grealish coming forward now for Aston Villa into McGinn, all being played just inside the Millwall half at the moment. Grealish now towards the edge of the penalty area, has Green on the overlap. Green will try and clip it back to Grealish, who takes a touch, goes for goal. Good save from Martin with his feet down to his left hand side, perhaps not far enough away from the goalkeeper. Good save nonetheless. Back out with Green on the right hand side. I think there's a
player gone down injured, and I think this might be Jake Cooper, in fact, who was hurt as the shot came in from Grealish. I think there might have been a collision between him and a Villa player. Good reactions though from David Martin. Last thing that Millwall need now at this stage of the game is to concede a second goal.
Yeah, did well to just reposition his feet, get down low and do what he needed to do. And now it's just an opportunity, I suppose, for both sets of players to take on water, or in Alex Pearce's case, to pour water over his head. just to
It's
cool
hot
himself
enough.
down. Yeah, it seems like it's a hot day in Birmingham. And we are just going to, again, just wait now for Cooper to get himself back to his feet.
Still Aston Villa 1, Millwall 0, but Villa probably should be away and clear now. We said earlier on about Jonathan Codger's effort way wide with the outside of his right boot, but we've just seen David Martin called into action a few moments ago as well. Andre Green, who's on as a substitute for Villa, did well on the right, pulled it back from the byline, and Jack Grealish from about 10 yards out shot towards goal. Unfortunately for him and for Villa, it was straight at David Martin, who reacted well to save with his legs. As I say, Green is one of those to come on, the other being Conor Hourihane. They're meant to go off for Villa, Albert Adoma and Glenn Whelan. One change for Millwall so far, seen James Meredith replaced by the forward-thinking Aidan O'Brien. Still 1-0 to the hosts.
Now it's just Alex Pearce who's just being spoken to here, just to get himself ready to take this free kick. Or free kick drop ball, should I say. He just lofts it right the way over the top. Through to Jed Steer as action finally resumes then after a couple of minutes of Cooper being down. Here's Hourihane lofting a ball forward, and it's a decent ball as well into El Ghazi. Now Taylor on this left hand side shifts it back in field for El Ghazi. Now Grealish, just midway inside the half, he will look to come forward. Taylor goes back into Grealish once again. He tries to go down towards the byline, in the end just about keeping the ball in play, looking to get away from his man, but Millwall will hook it away. We are over the 3-quarter mark in this game. Then independent off-tube studio commentary, Aston Villa 1, Millwall 0, and Warren Ashurst will take us through to full time.
Thanks very much indeed, Jack. And Millwall almost on the break there, getting down the right hand side. Good backtracking from Conor Hourihane, who got back there to help out his defence on the edge of his own area. It's going to be a throw into Millwall here now, so we're into the final 20 minutes of normal time, and this is where you'd expect Millwall to throw more caution to the wind to try and claim this equaliser, which will be a massive point for them in the battle at the bottom end of the Championship table, with big games to come, of course, for the likes of Rotherham and for Wigan later on today. Rotherham, just to remind you, at home to Birmingham, Wigan at home to Preston, and the other team around the bottom of the table are Reading, as this ball comes in and goalkeeper's come flapping at it. Jed Steer hasn't got there, and I think it was Jake Cooper, the centre-half, who got there ahead of him, Jack. And look, on the face of it, he probably should have at least hit the target, and if he had hit the target, it would have been a goal. Yeah, perhaps it's something that the goalkeeper has perhaps done enough to put him off, but regardless, Steer should not be coming there. It's edge of the penalty area, really. You know, it's no man's land for a goalkeeper in that situation. There's no way he should be going, needs to stay and then adjust to it. And Millwall, you know, they've not had many chances today. They won't get many chances. They need to be taking those opportunities. They need to be at least getting them on target. At the moment, Steer hasn't made a save, I don't think, so far today. And I'm sure that that'll be the main concern for Neil Harris, is that his side just haven't pushed. Well, they have pushed. They have tried hard and they've huffed and puffed, but they've not created anything, really. Not enough, really. Certainly not in the second half. Here come Millwall, though, with Aidan O'Brien crossing up over halfway. He's blocked off, though, well in the end by Al Mohammadi. And Villa have it back with McGinn on the halfway line, and towards Grealish, who's running towards the edge of the Millwall penalty area. Grealish into the D, into the area, shot deflected and inches wide at the far post. Jack Grealish can't believe his luck. He thought it was going in. It took a wicked deflection off one of the Millwall defenders' legs. I think it was Romeo, and it went just wide of that far post.
Yeah, they just kept backing off him and allowing him to drive forward, and then in the end he just tries to slot it into Martin's left-hand side. It goes to the right of the goalkeeper and just goes wide of the mark, but a big opportunity nonetheless for Aston Villa.
Corner for Villa on this right hand side to be taken right footed. In it swings towards the edge of the 6-yard box, headed away by Pearce, the Millwall captain. Hourihane got ahead to it, but he couldn't divert it into a claret and blue jersey, and then there's some decent backtracking from El Mohammadi to knock the ball out of play. Millwall throw it inside the Aston Villa half. Just under 18 minutes left of normal time to go in this off-tube studio commentary. Warren Ashurst and Jack Deaton taking you through the action, and Shane Ferguson is going to take this throw in now 10 yards inside the Villa half. He wants somebody to come and make a run for him. Only one person has done that, and eventually Millwall do keep possession. It goes back towards Pearce, and now Jake Cooper inside their own half again. Millwall, left-footed ball from Cooper forward, finds acres of space for Jed Wallace, plays it out on this near side now to Romeo. plays it infield to Wallace again on the edge of the Villa penalty area. Romeo down the right hand side. Wallace is crossing deep towards the back post. Up go the heads. Oh, and it just falls into the arms of Jed Steer, who's very grateful indeed. 2 Millwall players going up for the challenge at the back post, Tunnicliffe and Gregory, and it was all too easy for the goalkeeper in the end.
Yeah, I don't know whether either the wind held it up slightly or the player attacking, I think it was Gregory who went for it at the back post, perhaps he just misjudged it, but it seemed to stop slightly in the air, and in the end they weren't able to make something of it. It just seemed to drop.
No.
So again, it's a decent ball in though that time. We've not seen many of those. Decent delivery in towards the back post, but again, Millwall unable to make the best of the opportunity.
Yeah, got to just be a little bit more of a threat in and around the edge of the penalty area, but they are starting to create half chances. We've seen a couple in the last couple of minutes. That header, of course, wide by Cooper, and now just a moment or so ago, Gregory just unable to get on the end of the cross as Tunnicliffe plays it forward, plays a 1-2 there with Gregory, still bursting forward, goes out to the left hand side. Opportunity maybe for O'Brien to swing in a ball. Instead it's left for the overlapping Ferguson on the left. He then goes back again and finds Ben Marshall, who nearly overrun it, but they still have possession here. Do Millwall. Chance to get the ball into the penalty area, get towards the byline. There's plenty of orange jerseys in the box. Again, they're just taking too long to get the delivery in. Ferguson tries to scramble the ball back and does get it. It's all very messy on that left-hand side. And that's stupid from El Mohammadi. He just pushed him over. He can complain all he wants, but there was absolutely no point. He was going nowhere there, Ferguson, and he's given away a cheap free kick.
Yeah, crazy stuff. No need to even raise his hands there. The man's always going to go down. The slightest bit of touch and he's going down, and that's exactly what's happened there. And now this is an opportunity. This is a really good position for this free kick, and if Marshall can get the delivery right, we could see a goal here.
Yeah, this could be very interesting indeed in and around the Aston Villa penalty area. Right footed, Marshall will take this. Just one man in the wall, and that is Andre Green, the substitute. Plenty of Millwall players up and around the penalty area. Here's the ball in from Marshall towards the goalkeeper. It's pushed away, punched really by Jed Steer uncomfortably over to this near side. Didn't look to have great conviction in getting that out of his penalty area. It is going to be a Millwall throw-in on this near side, and it's going to be left for Romeo, who has asked for him to a bit of water, because it looks like there's going to be another change here now made by Millwall. Maybe one last throw of the dice from Neil Harris with just under 15 minutes left to go. We said all along, Jack, they'd be happy with a point. It would put them, I think, 4 points ahead of Rotherham, ahead of today's game between Rotherham and Birmingham.
Yeah, and that's priceless. You know, with 3 games to go, when you're down at the bottom, any points are better than none. And ultimately, it would be amazing for them to go and get themselves a point from this game. However, at the moment, as much as they are trying to turn the screw and as much as they are looking to go forward at any opportunity, and commentators curse it, but they don't look like scoring.
No.
It doesn't look like being something that they're able to do at the moment.
Romeo, long throw in towards the area, headed away by Tyrone Mings. It's going to come back out to Romeo again on this right hand side. Needs some support, gets it on the edge of the penalty area. Little ball through towards Gregory. Good defending from Tyrone Mings. Gregory claims a corner here, and the official on the near side has said goal kick. I actually thought that might have been a corner, but it was tough to call for the linesman because it was right on the byline.
Yeah, I think myself and yourself disagree with that, because I thought he came off the man, but it's good defending actually from Mings, because he gets himself across. He's trying to shepherd it out. Gregory does really well to force the issue, but Mings kept his feet, and when he does eventually go to ground, he ensures that he gets the ball. He doesn't risk it in any way, shape or form. It's good defending, but again, it's just lacklustre going forward from Millwall. Ultimately, I think that's why they're down and around the bottom of the league. They defend well. They are real. They work really, really hard, but going forward today, I think, has been their downfall.
Well, how many times do you hear pundits saying that strikers are worth their weight in gold, basically, and this is why, because they score the goals that can either keep you up or take you up into another division, and Millwall struggle for options in terms of attackers at the moment. Just waiting for confirmation. I'm sure that there was a change made by Millwall, but we've still not got confirmation of who that change was. There's another one. Steve Morrison is waiting to come on at the moment, fully stripped off, with just under 13 minutes of normal time left to go. Ball thrown in by Villa towards Codger, lays it off into the path of El Mohammadi. Ball down the right hand channel for McGinn. McGinn does well to control it on his chest and then lay it off to Andre Green on the edge of the penalty area. He just about smuggles it through towards a teammate. And it may well be that Villa made the change during that break. We'll confirm that for you in a moment, as here they are down the left-hand side. Chance to maybe get a ball in towards the area. El Ghazi plays it back towards the edge of the box instead with Grealish. And now to Taylor. Here's El Ghazi again. He's going to run at his man Romeo inside the penalty area. Right footed shot, palmed away well by Martin, diving to his left-hand side. Villa will pick up the pieces again here on that far side. The substitution that's come on is Davis, who's replaced Codger. As this long ball will come towards the back post, Romeo does well to beat Grealish in the air. That's surely a foul by Grealish. A bit of a nudge in the back of Romeo, and it will be a free kick to Millwall by their own byline.
Yeah, really good move there from Aston Villa once again, and El Ghazi does really well just to get away from his man, open up that space. Foster, good save from Martin. It's a save that you would expect a Championship goalkeeper to make. It wasn't too far away from him. He does well then to palm it wide, because it's one of those that can perhaps come back into the middle. He does exactly what you would expect a goalkeeper of his quality to do. But Villa at the moment looking the much more likely, as much as Millwall have been chasing the game, and it looks like Millwall are going to have to, bust themselves really to try and get themselves a goal in this game. But Aston Villa look like the ones with the greater intent, the team that are looking to go and get something further from this game.
Yeah, they do. They want to make sure, of course, of their place in the playoffs, and pretty much be certain of that with a win. Here come Villa again with Green, and El Mohammadi on the overlap was given no chance whatsoever with the return ball, and Millwall are able to clear their lines. Laid off now into the path of Tunnicliffe as Millwall try and break up over halfway. He's got support either side of him. He just runs straight into Emil Jedinak, who does well to take the ball off him, and Villa will start again. So Keenan Davis, as we say, is on for Jonathan Codger. It's almost like Villa are playing without a striker at the moment and flooding midfield. And here's Grealish inside a penalty area, almost about to pull the trigger on David Martin. Well, I think there's a free kick here against the Villa man, who dived into the challenge to try and block the clearance, and he can't really be blamed for that. It was a pack pass by Pearce, the skipper, to David Martin. It's Neil Taylor, I think, who's dived into the challenge to try and block it, and Martin has got one for his troubles as he got it out of harm's way. Referee is definitely saying it's a free kick, and it looks like, Jack, a yellow card for Taylor as well.
Yeah, and I think it's the right decision as well. It's just late from Taylor, really. Yeah. He's fully within his right to go in and try and win that, especially as Martin dithered on the ball. But yeah, he was definitely late, definitely caught his man as well.
Well, you take a booking in that circumstance, you have to say, because if you don't go in for the challenge, and he could have done and got a deflection and knocked it in towards the goal, and that would have been game over and you would have won your side the match. But as it is, he didn't get the block. Just to let you know, by the way, that Tunnicliffe has gone off now for Millwall, and he's been replaced by Steve Morrison. So an out-and-out striker eventually now to join Gregory up front. Let's see whether the veteran Morrison can make an impact in these closing few minutes. We've got 9 minutes of normal time plus stoppages. As Jack's already mentioned, Millwall do start to commit more numbers forward now, but they're yet to create really a clear-cut opportunity, probably the best of which was that header from Cooper, which the goalkeeper Steer made a mess of as he came for the cross in the first place. As this one comes off Alex Pearce's head and goes out of play for a throw into Villa, pretty much slap bang on halfway. Villa have made all three of their changes then. Hourihane, Green and Davis are on for Whelan, Adoma and Codger, and now O'Brien and Morrison on for Meredith and Tunnicliffe for Millwall. Ball hurled in there towards the youngster Davis for Villa, back to Taylor, and now here's El Ghazi down the left hand side. He's going to have a run at Romeo, then cuts back in field, right footed ball in towards McGinn, trying to lay it off towards Davis, well cleared by Millwall, but it's going to come back from Villa. El Mohammadi down the right hand side will play it into feet, and Andre Green, who's impressed me since he's come on, looks pretty sure footed in possession. Again, it wasn't a great ball from El Mohammadi to try and find him, and now it's cleared down the left-hand side by Ferguson, headed away by Jedinak. Again, Hourihane is on. Hourihane is in possession of the ball to nod it back towards Mings, but this time he puts his clearance out of play on this near side for a Millwall throw-in. They're in a hurry now, Millwall. And Romeo wants to take this free kick, this throw-in quickly, and nobody's coming short for it. the right hand side where Hourihan is still there in the corner. Back to Grealish, almost had it taken off his toes there by Gregory, but he just holds on to possession and finds El Mohammadi. Back to Grealish, and Villa thinking about going into the corner flag here. Grealish doing well to keep possession on that far side. Millwall double teaming Grealish to try and win the ball back, and then ultimately he's tripped over by Aidan O'Brien, one of these substitutes. I can tell you, by the way, it's Marlon Romeo who has gone off for Millwall, and Elliott has come on to replace him. So Elliott on for Romeo in these closing stages. And Villa have won themselves a free kick over by the corner flag on the right hand side. We've played 30 seconds of added on time. Not seen a board come up as to how much we're going to get overall, but certainly Villa in no rush to take this free kick. Taken short, and then McGinn plays it off the legs cleverly of Ferguson, and it goes out of play for a corner kick to Villa. And again, neither the ball boy nor the Villa players are in any great hurry to get this corner kick taken. This will be 10 wins in their last 10 matches for Dean Smith's men, and it would almost certainly seal a playoff spot for Villa, as Grealish takes it short again to McGinn. Plays it through the legs of Ferguson, and it's going to reach Keenan Davis in the area. Back it goes now towards Hourihan, and Villa again just happy to keep possession, go backwards to find Neil Taylor. Taylor now under pressure from Gregory, goes all the way back to his own half, and Mings left-footed plays a crossfield ball dangerously. Does pay off though for Villa, because it's going to find Grealish on the far side, and Millwall just can't win the ball back at the moment. Here's Grealish, gets away too easily from Morrison. Grealish still going, the Millwall man trying to chase him down. Grealish towards the edge of the area, trips up. Was he fouled from behind? Referee says yes, and it'll be a free kick to Villa right on the edge of the penalty area. Tim Robinson was in a good position to see it. Grealish he'd probably stumbled about 5 yards having been tripped, and eventually couldn't keep his feet any longer. And this will be a free kick to Villa right on the edge of the D, and it may well be that this is the last action of the game. Either way, whether it's a goal for Villa or whether this ends up in the Holt end behind the goal, it may well be, as I say, the last action of this match. Free kick to be taken right on the edge of the D. There's about 3 Villa players round it, including Grealish and McGinn. And El Hazi's round there as well now. And there's a 4-man Millwall wall with one of the Villa players on the end of it as well. This is a really central position, a really great opportunity for Villa to kill this game off. El Ghazi leaves it, and the left-footed shot from McGinn is right into the wall. In fact, he hit his own teammate on the end of the wall, and now Millwall have the ball back, looking to try and break quickly, but Taylor was in quick to dispossess Jed Wallace, and now Villa have it back, and they are just holding on to possession here in stoppage time. Millwall can't get out their own half at the moment as Keenan Davis gets away from his man Pearce. Across quickly was Cooper to help him out, but in the end Millwall have won themselves, well, they thought they'd won themselves a free kick for a foul on Ben Marshall on the edge of the area. But the referee has said, no, it's going to be a Villa throw on the far side. And the seconds continue to tick away. 93.5 minutes we've played now. Aston Villa 1, Millwall 0. Jonathan Codger's first half goal looks like being enough to claim the 3 points for Dean Smith's men, with Villa again in no rush to take this throw in on the far side. It's going to be El Mohammadi who eventually takes it down the line towards McGinn. McGinn just holds up possession. Referee's just had one quick look at his watch. Millwall trying to win the ball back over on that far side. And there is the referee's full-time whistle. And the Villa fans are all up as one in unison to applaud a 10th successive.
Put to 2 of him ready to go. The John Eustace's at Queen's Park Rangers, they were beaten at home.
give me